Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here at Activate Learn on Twitter. Now, I thought I would do something a little bit different today and do a review, maybe really just a very quick synopsis of 4 books from one of my favorite authors and someone who has shaped my thinking around workplace learning. Now, for those of you who have been watching my videos on this channel, if this isn't of interest related to enterprise learning and how we learn at work, then feel free to come back to future videos. But for today, I'd like to cover off on 4 books by this one author who has made such a difference to how I think about workplace learning. Now, this one author is Jane Hart. I know Jane because I have worked with her and she's a very good friend of mine and who I have been following for many years. Her work has been exceptional in the field of modern workplace learning. And in actual fact, when I had seen Jane's work on Twitter, which was my introduction to her work, it really threw everything I had about what I thought about training in a workplace sense, because she offered different ways of thinking about taking charge of your own professional and personal development. So today I want to talk about 4 books of hers that have made such a huge difference to my work, and these books have been workhorses for me. Now, if you're expecting a book that has, I guess, a lot of theory with regards to a lot of strategies and frameworks, yes, they're there. But ultimately, if you want a practical book with ideas, with tips, with techniques, with actions, with ways of getting you to do stuff straight away at work around building knowledge, building communities, learning how to get resources and find resources that help you with your work, learn how to sense make, then these books are where you should start from. Now, the very first book that she wrote was back in 2014, and it was called The Social Learning Handbook. Now, back in 2014, around those years, social learning was actually quite new, and it was a bit of a loaded term because a lot of organizations would think, what's that mean? Does that mean people coming together and actually playing or using social media for learning? It's really learning from each other, with each other. It's collaborative learning. And I must admit that social learning, that as the term, had got a bit of a bad rap online, which it shouldn't have. And I'm pretty disappointed that it did, because I created a whole business model around the concept of social learning, which unfortunately I could share here that my business didn't go so well, simply because people did not understand, I guess, the value of collaborative learning. But I'm not here to have a whinge about that, because since that time, my thinking has actually also changed, and it's developed in such a way that whatever I'm doing with regards to collaborative learning, I'm doing in my current work, which is something that I am enjoying. So Social Learning 2014 was the very first book. And look at it. Look how it's like pages are falling off out of it. Why? Because this has been a book that I have continually referred to. The year itself, I would say, do not worry about the year. Nothing would change here. In fact, it's timeless information, and it's information that could be applied regardless of the year it is. The only change that I would say is the references are dated pre-2014, simply because this is when it was published. Since then, there are more references and there's more books that could help you. But ultimately, you know what? Out of all the books, I still keep coming back to this basic one, because it is all about learning in the workplace and learning from each other and with each other. So look, I'll show you some of the things that the titles, it's all about changing the world of work and learning, how to work and learn in teams, how to set up an online community in the workplace, which still till 2021, the year that we are in now, a lot of companies are really struggling with how to build communities for knowledge sharing in work. She talks about connected learning activities. What are some of the things, the tips that you can do within these communities to learn from, and then how to become a social learner. So regardless of the year, this is still very relevant, and I'm putting it out there that organizations still have not got this right. Okay, so the second and the third book of hers is Modern Workplace, Learning in the Modern Workplace 2017. Now, this is also something that I refer to. However, now she's delving into splitting what can learners do, or the employees, what can managers do, and how to support it, and how can employees lead their own learning. So she's splitting, I guess, the roles and responsibilities, and she talks about what is, I guess, a modern workplace learner, where they could learn from, and how their manager can also help them out. Okay, but ultimately it's all about how employees drive their own learning in the workplace. So this was a 2017. It's updated in the sense of she gives more applications around continuous learning, things like reflection, things like how to support knowledge sharing in the workplace, and how managers can support their people to continually lead, and also how to empower the employees to be continually learning in the workplace through their workflow. We continue on with modern workplace learning in 2019. You can see now it's become a lot thicker. So I found that some of the things mentioned in here were already highlighted, I guess, or summarized in these previous books. But now, given that social media, enterprise, community platforms are now more prevalent in work, there is a lot more information that is provided in here. So some of the in the table of content, what she covers in this particular book is understanding the modern workplace, how to build a continuous learning culture within your organization, how managers can help their employees to organize their own daily learning through work, how employees can learn something new every day for themselves, how managers can also enable learning as part of the daily workflow, how managers can also develop their own people, how managers can help develop the knowledge sharing culture, and what are some of the tools and platforms that allow this community building and knowledge sharing to happen. The third part of this book is all around creating modern content, events, and experiences. So what are the things in your organization to create learning experiences from? And there's tons of stuff, okay? But as a start, she talks about what are some of the online resources through podcasts, videos, presentation-based resources, aggregated content. She talks about how to create and curate a flow of daily content that comes to you, that you can be continually learning. And these are the things that I have put into practice in my own work, where I'm continually having access to a whole heap of different things that I'm continually learning from. And from these, I read, I reflect, I blog, I write, and then I share and have conversations about these in the online communities, whether they are the enterprise communities, say through Yammer that we're doing through work, or through Twitter, or online through YouTube, so forth. So she also offers some ideas about modern classroom training and how to create and curate events and information, with also touching on modern experiential learning through augmented reality and virtual reality. So this is another one that I have used quite a lot. And look at this, I have highlighted, scribbled in it as well. This is the type of books that I love to read, the books that actually give you tips, techniques, and frameworks that don't kind of just give you high level stuff. With this is practical stuff, and you could put it into practice straight away. Now, the last book, which doesn't kind of feed into these other yearly ones, is Modern Workplace Learning, a resource book for learning and development. So that's L&D. These are the L&D is the learning or the training team in your organization. Now, this one's a little bit different because it's the concept of modern workplace design. And so what she means by this is she split the book up into what it means, that modern workplace learning is all about performance consulting. It's all about providing a new range of activities and services for your organization so that your people can learn from it. It means helping your people use a variety of different social tools, such as social media and enterprise networking platforms and other tools, so they could be continually learning through the flow of work. It means having new mindsets. So in this particular book, she splits it out into what is modern workplace learning and how is it different to learning and training in the past. But then she talks about how to modernize your modern training, how to use video, how to use your social networking platform and integrate it into your learning experiences. She talks about also how to promote everyday learning into work and helping both individuals and the managers see the value of learning at work through the building of individual learning plans and professional learning networks, and building a portfolio of work that you could show and share to others that gives you, I guess, which will be the CV that will help you find future work. So these 4 books for me have been such critical books that I have constantly referred to in my work, constantly. And I would highly recommend them all if you are someone who is either in the change space, obviously in the learning and development or training space, someone who is and has interest in helping their people be continual learners in the workplace, simply because the way the workplace is moving, the way work is happening nowadays, we really need to skill up. And so the days of, I guess, old-fashioned training and being in classrooms and even being in, I'm going to put it out there, even some virtual training that I have done, some live online classes, are so far behind in so many ways because they don't develop and don't envelop all different activities and experiences around these events. That somehow we're missing a component of the human way that we should be learning at work, that maybe somehow technology is kind of making us not see through it. So that is it for this review. It's not really a review, it's, I guess, a summary of these 4 books by Jane Hart. I'll leave her details in the description box below. Highly recommend you read her blogs and also buy her books if this is of interest to you. So thank you for listening and thank you for watching now. Bye for now.